The chandeliers of the Plaza Hotel glittered like frozen stars above Harper Lee Montgomery as she stepped into the ballroom, one hand resting on her 7-month belly. She shouldn't have been there. Her doctor told her to avoid stress, but tonight was too important for Ashton Hale, her husband, the man she still believed, somehow, would return to the version of himself she once loved. Guests in tailored tuxedos and shimmering gowns drifted around her like she was invisible. Harper tried to smile, tried to blend into the swirl of Manhattan's elite, hoping Ashton would take her hand the moment he saw her. But when she finally spotted him under the golden lights, his hand wasn't free. It was wrapped around another woman's waist. Janelle Grant, the PR girl Harper once hired for a holiday charity event. The woman who had been oddly present in Ashton's messages. The woman Harper had been told she was overthinking about. And then Harper saw it. The tiny bundle swaddled in white silk curled against Janelle's chest. A newborn. Her heart stopped. Her breath vanished. Every sound in the ballroom seemed to drown in slow, deafening silence. A board member whispered, "Is that Ashton's baby?" Another replied, "Janelle gave birth last week. I guess this confirms it." But Ashton didn't deny it. He didn't panic. He didn't even look ashamed. He stepped forward proudly, fixing his cufflinks like a man presenting a trophy. "Everyone," Ashton announced, voice echoing across the ballroom, "meet my son." Harper staggered back as though he'd struck her. The room tilted. Her baby, her unborn baby, kicked inside her as if reacting to her pain. Her eyes burned, but no tears came. The humiliation was too sharp, too sudden, too public. A camera flashed. Someone recorded. Another whispered, "His wife is right there. Pregnant." Her legs trembled. She tried to breathe, tried to steady herself on the marble pillar behind her, but the shame pressed down heavier than her own body. Janelle looked at Harper with a victorious smile. A smile that said, "I won." Harper's pulse roared in her ears. She wanted to scream. She wanted to run. She wanted Ashton to explain, but he didn't even look her way. He kissed Janelle's forehead, and the ballroom erupted in murmurs. A wave of heat washed over Harper. Her vision blurred. Her knees buckled. Someone reached toward her, but she didn't see who. Her body collapsed forward, and the last thing she heard before darkness swallowed her was Ashton's cold voice saying, "Someone get her out of here. She's making a scene." And then a voice she hadn't heard in years whispered her name, changing everything. "Harper?" The person kneeling beside her was the last man Ashton ever wanted to see. The world came back to Harper in fragments, soft beeping, a warm light, the faint scent of antiseptic. When her eyes opened, she wasn't in the Plaza Hotel anymore. She was in a private suite at Mount Sinai, her pulse monitor blinking beside her, her baby shifting gently inside her belly as if asking if she was still there. Harper Lee Montgomery had never imagined her life would crumble in front of strangers who drank champagne worth more than her monthly rent. She'd spent years building a name for herself as a luxury event coordinator. Los Angeles, Chicago, finally Manhattan. She was known for her calm, intelligent touch. A woman who made chaos look like choreography. Celebrities loved her. Corporate giants trusted her. Even billionaires admired her professionalism. But she gave all of that up the day Ashton asked her to slow down for the sake of their future family. He said he needed her. He said he wanted them to grow together. He said she worked too much. So she stepped back from the career she'd fought tooth and nail for. She moved into Ashton's penthouse with its glass walls overlooking the Hudson, its marble counters, its curated shelves of books he never read. She traded her planner for meal prepping, her design boards for laundry loads, her deadlines for doctor appointments. Harper didn't resent it. She thought marriage meant partnership. She thought love meant compromise. She thought Ashton was the man he pretended to be. She was wrong. Even before tonight, little signs had begun to crack their marriage. Ashton stayed later at work. He kept 2 phones. He said the stress of being CFO of Hale Dominion was killing him, that Harper didn't understand the pressure he carried. She tried. She always tried. But nothing prepared her for Janelle's baby in his arms. Nothing prepared her for the cruel words, "She's making a scene. Someone get her out." She pressed her hand to her chest, trying to steady the ache. The humiliation still stung, but beneath it was a deeper pain. The realization that the man she loved had been slipping away long before tonight. The door to her hospital suite opened quietly, and in stepped Elias Blackthorne. Tall, composed, sharp black suit. The same air of quiet power he carried 5 years ago when she saved his West Coast product launch after a catastrophic storm knocked out the venue's power. She was 25, exhausted, running a team of 40, and he was the first CEO who ever looked her in the eye with genuine respect. He remembered her. He remembered everything. Harper tried to sit up, but Elias gently placed a hand near her shoulder, not touching her, just offering presence. "Easy," he said, voice low and steady. "You fainted. The doctor said stress and dehydration." Her throat tightened. "I shouldn't be here, Ashton." "You shouldn't worry about him right now." Elias interrupted softly. "You should worry about yourself and your baby." His words were warm, grounding, reminding her she still existed outside of Ashton's shadow. Harper blinked at him. "Why? Why were you at the gala?" "I invest in Hail Dominion," he said simply. "Or at least I did." A subtle, sharp meaning hummed beneath the words. Harper swallowed hard. "I made a fool of myself." Elias shook his head. "No, someone made a fool of you. That's not the same thing." The kindness in his eyes nearly broke her. But then his expression shifted. Serious, calculating, protective. "I think you should know something," he said. "Something about Ashton. Something I didn't want to say until you were awake." Harper exhaled shakily. "What is it?" Elias glanced toward the door, ensuring they were alone, then turned back to her with a look that made her blood run cold. "Harper, Ashton didn't just betray you emotionally. He betrayed you legally, and it's about to get much worse." Manhattan at dawn was a city of contradictions, cold, dazzling, merciless. As sunlight bled across the skyline, Harper Lee Montgomery stared out the window of her hospital suite, watching the gold reflections ripple along the East River. New York had always felt like a promise to her, a place where ambition could turn into destiny, where hard work mattered, where she and Ashton Hale were supposed to build their life together. But now, as she rested a hand on her belly, the city felt brutally indifferent. Elias Blackthorne had stepped out to take a call, leaving her alone with her thoughts. The memories flooded in, moving from Los Angeles to New York with Ashton, the excitement of their penthouse on the 57th floor overlooking the Hudson, the idea that they were becoming one of those modern power couples the magazines loved to feature. She remembered hosting holiday parties where the room glowed with soft jazz and candles, Ashton introducing her as the woman who keeps my world together. She believed him. Every word. She wanted to laugh at the irony now. The penthouse had always felt a little too big, a little too silent. Its glass walls looked glamorous in photos, but at night they felt like a cage suspended above the world, beautiful, cold, isolating. She spent most evenings alone while Ashton worked late, her dinners going cold on the marble counter. The Mercedes S-Class he gifted her sat unused in the private garage because she preferred walking. She never cared for the luxury. They were symbols of Ashton's world, not hers. The world she came from was simpler. Southern California. Classrooms where she organized fundraisers for school plays. A mother who worked double shifts at a dental clinic. A father who believed in building things with your hands. Harper worked since she was 15. Planned weddings, corporate launches, even charity galas. She fought for every opportunity, and she earned every compliment. Maybe that was why Ashton chose her. She grounded him. She softened him. She made him look good without asking for anything. And maybe that was why he betrayed her so easily. He thought she'd always stay quiet. The hospital door opened softly. Elias stepped back inside, his expression unreadable. His sharp navy suit contrasted with the warm light behind him, making him look like he belonged to another world, the one Harper thought she'd lost access to. But when he spoke, his voice carried an unexpected gentleness. "The doctor says you can be discharged in a few hours," he said. "But you shouldn't go back to the penthouse." Harper looked away. "It's still my home, for now." "Not anymore," Elias replied quietly. She frowned. "What does that mean?" He took a seat across from her, leaning forward. "I didn't want to overwhelm you earlier, but Harper, Ashton already filed for an emergency separation." Her breath hitched. "He filed? Before the gala?" Elias nodded. 3 days ago. Tears stung her eyes. Not because she still loved Ashton. Those feelings had begun evaporating the instant he kissed Janelle's forehead in that ballroom, but because of the cruelty, the calculation. He planned to discard her before she even knew the truth. She pressed a trembling hand to her belly. He didn't even tell me. He didn't want to, Elias said. His board is pressuring him. They want the cleaner family image, the one with Janelle and her newborn. A surge of helpless anger rose through Harper. He replaced us before he even threw us away. Yes, Elias said softly, and he's not done. She stared at him. What else? He hesitated. You're not safe in that penthouse. Her pulse jumped. Safe from what? But Elias didn't answer immediately. He stood and walked toward the window, the city glowing behind him. When he finally turned back, his face was grave. Because someone else has been in that penthouse, Harper, and they left something with your name on it. Something you need to see. Ashton Hale had always known how to play a room. Even as a kid, growing up in Connecticut's wealthiest suburb, he understood the power of appearances, how a perfect suit, the right handshake, and an expensive smile could open doors that talent alone never could. At 38, he was the youngest CFO Hale Dominion had ever promoted. A man the board trusted, a man shareholders admired, a man the media called the Prince of Park Avenue, and he believed every word. To the outside world, Ashton was polished charm, but behind closed doors he was something colder, calculating, territorial, obsessed with legacy. Harper used to mistake that intensity as passion. She thought it meant he cared about building a future for them. But for Ashton, future only meant one thing: a successor, a son, a legacy to pass his name to. When Harper struggled through her first trimester, hospital visits, dehydration, fainting spells, Ashton didn't see a woman fighting for their baby. He saw a threat to his public image. Pregnancy slowed her down, cost him attention, made him look tied down. That was why Janelle Grant slipped so easily into his life. Janelle was everything Harper wasn't, at least in Ashton's eyes. She was shiny, eager, opportunistic, a PR influencer who lived for ring lights and curated brunch photos. She saw Ashton not as a man, but as a stepping stone, a way to become someone in Manhattan's brutal social world. The affair began in a Hale Dominion conference room after a late-night meeting. Then it moved to the penthouse Harper decorated with her own hands. Eventually, Ashton stopped hiding it. He took Janelle to business trips and charity luncheons, claiming she was handling PR. Harper never saw the pieces until they were already burning. And Janelle? She planned everything. She wanted a powerful man. A child with his last name, a seat at the Hale family table. Pregnancy wasn't an accident, it was strategy. She timed everything, manipulated everything, photographed everything. She even kept a private Instagram folder labeled Future Mrs. Hale. When she gave birth early, Ashton didn't panic. He celebrated. He hired a private suite at a luxury hospital, bought Janelle a Cartier bracelet for surviving the delivery, and whispered the words Harper never got to hear. You gave me a son. A child, a legacy, a future without Harper. At the gala, Ashton soaked in the attention. Executives congratulated him. Investors clapped him on the back. They called his newborn the future Hale Dominion president. Janelle played her role perfectly, crying the right amount, smiling at the cameras, letting her dress fall off one shoulder so the photographers could see the delicate diamond clasp Ashton bought her. But beneath her artificial sweetness was a vicious smirk, the kind she saved only for Harper, the kind that said, "Your time is up." Now, in the penthouse Harper once called home, Ashton stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Hudson, swirling a glass of bourbon. Janelle lounged on the Italian leather sofa, feeding the baby while scrolling through tabloids on her iPhone. "They're calling Harper a liability," Janelle said, flipping the screen toward him. "Good. Let the public bury her before she can speak." Ashton smirked. "She won't fight. She never does." Janelle's smile widened. "You forget? I know her better than you think." Ashton raised an eyebrow. "What does that mean?" Janelle shifted, lowering her voice. "It means I took care of something while you were busy with board meetings. Something that makes sure she can't ruin our future." Ashton froze. "Janelle, what did you do?" But before she could answer, the elevator dinged. Ashton turned. Standing there, holding an envelope with a white Hale Dominion seal, was the last person he expected. "Mr. Hale," the man said, "this was found in your bedroom, and you're not going to like what's inside." Because it had Harper's name on it. Harper had never imagined the city she once adored could feel so unforgiving. Manhattan's cold air sliced against her cheeks as Elias helped her into the black car waiting outside the hospital. The windows were tinted, the seats warm, the quiet hum of the engine smoothing her shaking breath. She still felt suspended, somewhere between disbelief and heartbreak, as if her body had been split into two worlds. The one she thought she lived in, and the brutal one she now occupied. "Where are we going?" she asked softly. Elias's tone stayed calm, patient. "There's something you need to see before you decide your next step." Harper didn't have the strength to argue. She leaned her head against the window, watching Park Avenue blur with lights and winter shadows. Her phone buzzed nonstop in her purse, messages from unknown numbers, headlines flashing with her name. She refused to look. But one notification slipped onto the screen, glowing despite her avoidance. Ashton Hale's wife suffers meltdown at gala as his mistress introduces newborn son. Harper's heart twisted. Her baby kicked at the sudden tension. She turned the phone face down. When the car slid to a stop, she lifted her head and saw the place she once considered sacred. Hale Dominion Tower. 59 floors of glass, steel, and arrogance. Ashton's kingdom. "Why here?" she whispered. "Because this is where the damage spread," Elias said, stepping out and offering his hand. Harper followed him through the private entrance, past a guard who bowed slightly to Elias, recognizing a man with more influence than Ashton ever had. They stepped into a silent corridor lined with glass plaques. At the far end, a set of double doors opened into the company's executive lounge. Inside, the room buzzed with muted conversations. Executives she had met at charity events stood in small circles whispering, their eyes flicking toward Harper with thinly veiled curiosity. It was like stepping into a storm of judgment. "What are we doing here?" she murmured to Elias, anxiety climbing her spine. "Listening," he replied. Before she could ask what he meant, a familiar voice sliced through the room. "Harper?" She turned. Riley Moore, her former best friend, stood near the bar holding a champagne flute. Riley, who used to braid her hair before dates. Riley, who cried at her wedding. Riley, who disappeared the moment rumors about Ashton began. "Wow," Riley said with a sugar-coating smile, scanning Harper's swollen belly and tired eyes. "You're up and walking already, stronger than Twitter makes you look." The executives nearby chuckled under their breath. Harper's chest tightened. "You're covering the story?" "Oh, honey," Riley said, stepping closer. "I'm breaking the story." Harper froze. "Riley, why?" "Because it's news, and because Janelle offered exclusive access." Riley sipped her drink casually. "Come on, Harp. You married a high-profile man. Scandal comes with the package." Elias stepped forward, the calm in his posture turning razor-sharp. "Ms. Moore, I suggest you lower your voice." Riley's eyes flicked up, momentarily intimidated, before she smirked. "And who are you exactly?" "The reason you should choose your next words very carefully," Elias replied, voice low enough to silence the entire room. Before Riley could respond, the elevator chimed. The doors opened, and out stepped Ashton Hale, holding Janelle's hand. A hush fell over the lounge like a drop of winter frost. Flashbulbs from hidden phones illuminated their entrance. Ashton straightened his suit, his eyes locking onto Harper with a look that wasn't guilt or regret, just annoyance. "Harper," he said sharply, "you shouldn't be here. You're embarrassing yourself again." The executives murmured. Janelle tightened her grip on Ashton's arm, lifting her chin triumphantly. Harper felt the world tilt. She opened her mouth to speak, but that was when the head of PR stormed into the room, face white as paper. He held a tablet trembling in his hands. "Mr. Hale," he choked, "we have a problem, a very big one." He turned the screen so the whole room could see, and Harper's heart dropped. It wasn't a headline. It wasn't a rumor. It was a video. Her video, recorded inside her bedroom. A video she never made, and one that could destroy everything Ashton thought he controlled. Harper's breath caught in her throat as the video played on the tablet, grainy, shaky, filmed in low light. The footage showed someone, a silhouette that looked like her, pacing the penthouse bedroom. The figure clutched their stomach, sobbing, shouting incoherent words. Lamps were knocked over, sheets torn, pillows shredded. The recording ended with the figure collapsing on the floor, screaming Ashton's name like a woman completely unhinged. Her name flashed across the bottom. Harper Montgomery, mental breakdown while pregnant. Her knees turned weak. "I never," Harper whispered, voice cracking. "That's not me. I'd never hurt myself. I'd never hurt my baby." But the room wasn't listening. Executives whispered behind their hands. Riley typed furiously into her phone. Janelle smirked like a cat that had cornered its prey. Ashton stepped forward, feigning a concerned sigh. Harper's been unstable for months. I've tried to get her help, but she refuses to admit she's not well. Harper stared at him, stunned. How could you say that? He didn't flinch. Because it's true, and now the board has proof. Elias moved in front of Harper like a shield. This video is fake, he said firmly. Badly staged. Anyone can see that. Riley scoffed. Thousands won't. Millions won't. The internet loves a meltdown story. The executives nodded grimly. The room was turning against her, hungry for scandal, too indifferent to see the cruelty unfolding. Harper's chest tightened. Her vision blurred at the edges. She felt heat climbing her spine, an overwhelming wave of humiliation, betrayal, fear, and heartbreak blending until she couldn't separate one from the next. Ashton looked at her the way a man looks at a problem, cold, calculating. Harper, for the baby's sake, you should step down from any public conflict. Go home, rest, I'll handle the fallout. Go home? She echoed, trembling. The home you threw me out of? He clenched his jaw. You left. I fainted, she snapped, voice breaking. You told them to get me out because I was making a scene. You kissed her while I was still standing there. Her voice cracked entirely. Her hands flew to her face as a sob tore through her. The baby moved inside her, a soft, frightened flutter. Elias caught her shoulders gently. Harper, breathe. Look at me. But she couldn't. She hadn't cried like this in years, not since her father's funeral. Not since she told Ashton she was pregnant and he simply nodded instead of smiling. She felt like she was drowning in a room full of people who wanted to watch. Janelle stepped forward, her voice syrupy and cruel. Harper, sweetie, maybe motherhood just isn't for you. Something inside Harper shattered. Her throat burned. Her palms sweated. Her heart pounded so hard it stole the air from her lungs. She felt herself swaying, losing sense of the floor beneath her. Sit down, Elias urged softly, gripping her elbows. I can't, Harper rasped. The room tilted, the light streaking into a blur. Riley's typing clicked like knives. Ashton's expression hardened into annoyance. Janelle's smirk widened. Harper let out a thin gasp, then the world went white. She collapsed into Elias's arms as gasps rippled across the lounge. Call an ambulance, someone shouted. She's faking, Ashton muttered. Elias rounded on him, fury igniting in his eyes. If anything happens to her or that child, I swear. But before he could finish, a security guard burst into the room, breathless, gripping an envelope with trembling hands. I found this, he stammered. It was hidden in Mr. Hale's office, addressed to Mrs. Montgomery. Elias snatched it, tore it open, scanned the contents, and his expression changed instantly. His face went stone cold. He looked at Ashton like a man seeing the truth for the first time. Then he whispered to Harper, barely audible over the chaos. This changes everything. And Ashton is finished. Harper drifted in and out of consciousness as the paramedics rushed through the executive lounge, their voices sharp and urgent. She felt herself lifted onto a stretcher, cool air brushing her cheeks, her baby kicking weakly beneath her ribs. But through the haze, one image remained clear, Elias Blackthorne standing over her, clutching the envelope the guard had delivered. His jaw was set, his eyes burning with a fire she had never seen in him. Elias, what is it? Her voice was a whisper, thin as thread. He didn't answer right away. He looked torn, as if deciding whether the truth would protect her or break her further. Finally he stepped closer, leaning down so only she could hear. Harper, that envelope, it contains proof that Ashton intended to legally remove you from his life before your baby was even born. Harper's breath staggered. He filed for separation. It's more than that, Elias said, his voice tightening. He filed a petition claiming you're mentally unstable. He requested emergency custody rights over the child you're carrying. The room spun. No, Harper whispered, tears gathering hot and sudden. He couldn't. He did, Elias said, anger rippling beneath every word. And he planned to use that fake video to make the board, and a judge, believe it. A paramedic gently pressed an oxygen mask to Harper's face, urging her to breathe, but air felt like needles in her lungs. Ashton stepped forward now, trying to mask his panic with arrogance. Elias, you don't understand. Harper needs supervision. She's fragile. I was only trying to protect my child. Your child? Elias snapped, You mean the child you've already tried to erase from every formal document? The one you plan to take away from its own mother? Ashton's facade cracked. He grabbed Janelle's hand as if needing backup, but she looked uneasy now, her earlier confidence unraveling. Riley filmed everything from the corner. Elias lifted the documents from the envelope. I'm sure the board and the media would be thrilled to see this petition. You lied to them. You lied to Harper. You used corporate resources to prepare legal action against your own pregnant wife. The board members murmured in shock. Someone whispered, "Is this grounds for removal?" Another said, "This is a PR nightmare." Ashton lunged forward. "Give me that. That's confidential." "It was in your office," Elias cut in coldly. "Accessible to anyone who walked in. You can thank your mistress for that." Janelle's head jerked up. "What? I didn't." "Oh, didn't you?" Elias asked sharply. "Then explain why the guard saw you leaving the office 15 minutes before the envelope was found." Janelle's face drained of color. I was looking for my phone." The lie was too flimsy. Everyone saw it. Harper felt another contraction of fear, but this one wasn't from stress, it was realization. Janelle had tried to frame her, sabotage her, maybe even provoke something worse. The paramedics prepared to wheel her toward the elevator, but Harper reached out weakly, grasping Elias's wrist. "Why? Why are you helping me?" she asked. Elias knelt beside her, his voice softened, but his eyes stayed fierce. "Because I know what it's like to love someone who turns into a stranger, and because you once saved me from a disaster I couldn't fix myself." Her mind flashed back. 5 years ago, Los Angeles, the product launch she salvaged when the venue flooded an hour before showtime. Elias had never forgotten. He lowered his voice even more. "And because I can't stand by and watch a good woman get destroyed." Harper swallowed hard, overwhelmed by pain, fear, and something unfamiliar, hope. The elevator doors slid open. "We're taking her down," a paramedic called. But just before they pushed the stretcher inside, another guard sprinted toward the group, panting. Panic etched across his face. "Mr. Blackthorne, you need to see this," he shouted. There's another video." Elias stiffened. "Another?" "Yes, and this one doesn't show Harper." Everyone froze. The guard held out his phone. Elias pressed play. The screen lit up with the unmistakable face of Janelle Grant, crying, shaking, whispering into the camera. "If something happens to Harper, it wasn't an accident." Gasps exploded in the room. Janelle's eyes widened in horror. Harper's heart slammed once against her ribs, and Ashton finally realized he wasn't in control anymore. Not even close. The next 48 hours moved like a storm, fast, violent, and impossible to ignore. Harper remained at Mount Sinai under observation while doctors monitored her stress levels and her baby's heartbeat. For the first time in months, she was surrounded not by Ashton's demands or Janelle's shadow, but by silence and steady breathing monitors. Elias visited twice a day, never lingering too long, never touching her without permission, but always making sure she felt safe. That alone felt revolutionary. On the third morning, Harper woke with her hand resting on her belly and a strange, unexpected clarity in her mind. She wasn't broken. She wasn't weak. She wasn't the trembling woman from the fake video. She was Harper Lee Montgomery, the girl from California who built her career from scratch. The woman who survived betrayal in front of an entire ballroom. The mother protecting a child who deserved better than Ashton Hale. When the doctor cleared her for discharge, Elias was already waiting in the hallway, his coat draped over his arm. "You don't have to go back to the penthouse," he said gently. Harper lifted her chin. "I know." He studied her face, noticing the shift in her expression. "You're different today." "I'm done falling apart," she replied. "I'm not running anymore. I'm rebuilding." Elias nodded, almost proud. "Then let's get you a place that belongs to you." The car took them to Soho, where Elias owned a private loft reserved for visiting designers and executives. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating cream brick walls and polished floors. The loft smelled faintly of cedar, lavender, and safety. "It's yours for as long as you need it," Elias said. Harper ran her fingers across a marble countertop, simple, elegant, nothing like the cold, museum-like penthouse Ashton flaunted. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "It's a blank space," Elias said, "just like your life. And you can design both however you want." Those words struck something deep inside her. For the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a life that didn't orbit around Ashton Hale's ego. A life where she could work again, maybe even reclaim her passion. Her baby kicked softly, almost as if agreeing. Later, while Harper showered, washing away the remnants of humiliation and hospital air, she saw herself in the mirror. Wet hair clinging to her cheeks, eyes still tired but shining with something new. Resolve. She dried her hair, put on a soft sweater Elias had left folded on the dresser, and walked into the main room where he waited, reviewing something on his MacBook Pro. He looked up, and for a second, just a second, he forgot to breathe. Gone was the trembling woman from the gala. Standing before him was a woman with fire in her spine, a woman ready to rise. "Harper," he said slowly, "I have something for you." He handed her a leather portfolio. Inside it were photos, documents, and a business proposal. "What is this?" "A project," Elias said. "A major one, a new luxury venue opening on Park Avenue, and I want you to lead the events division for the launch." Harper blinked. "Me? You saved a multi-million-dollar product launch for me once," Elias said. "You're the best planner I've ever seen, and Ashton didn't get to take that away from you." Her throat tightened, not with sadness this time, but something almost like gratitude. Something like purpose. She closed the portfolio. "When do I start?" "Immediately," Elias said. "If you're ready." "I am," she whispered, more than ever. But before Elias could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his expression darkened. "What is it?" Harper asked. He hesitated, then looked straight into her eyes. "It's Ashton," Elias said. "He's on his way here, and he's not coming alone." Harper stood frozen, her fingers still resting on the portfolio Elias had given her. The loft, so calm, so warm moments earlier, now felt charged with electric tension. "Ashton is coming here?" she asked quietly. Elias nodded once, jaw tightening. "And he's bringing a lawyer." "And?" "Janelle." Harper's stomach twisted. "Why now?" "Because he's losing control," Elias replied. "He knows that petition getting exposed could cost him everything. He wants to intimidate you before things spiral." A knock thundered against the door. Harper flinched. Elias stepped forward immediately, positioning himself between her and the entrance. "Stay behind me," he murmured. The pounding grew louder. "Harper?" Ashton's voice roared from the other side. "Open the door. We need to talk, now." Harper inhaled shakily. She rested a protective hand on her belly. "I don't want to see him." "You don't have to," Elias said, and there was steel in his voice. "This is your space, your life. He doesn't get to walk in just because he feels like it." He opened the door only a few inches, just enough to block entry. Ashton pushed forward immediately, but Elias's palm met his chest like an unmovable wall. "You don't have permission to enter," Elias said coldly. Ashton's eyes flared with entitlement. "That's my wife in there. Soon to be your ex-wife," Elias corrected, voice like ice. "And this loft belongs to me. You're trespassing unless invited." Janelle, standing behind Ashton with oversized sunglasses and forced innocence, scoffed. "Oh, please. Harper's unstable. We're here to help her." Harper stepped into view then, not hiding anymore. Her posture was steady, her chin lifted, her eyes no longer clouded by tears. "I'm not unstable," she said calmly. "I'm finally thinking clearly." Ashton's face twisted. "You faint in public, you scream in your bedroom, you cause a massive scene at the gala." "That video was fake," Harper cut in. "You know it, and so does Janelle." Janelle stiffened. "I don't." "Save it," Harper said. "Your little confession video kind of ruined your performance." Ashton shot Janelle a furious look. "What video?" Janelle swallowed hard, her confidence cracking. I didn't mean." Elias stepped forward. "I have the recording and the original files." Ashton turned red. "You stole my property." "You left the evidence lying around like an amateur," Elias replied. "I simply picked it up." The tension thickened. Ashton's lawyer, a thin man with a silver tie, cleared his throat. "Mrs. Montgomery, we are here to discuss a custody arrangement." Harper laughed. Not hysterically, not painfully, but coldly, precisely. The sound startled even herself. "Custody?" she said. "Of a child you've ignored? A child you tried to take from me before it was even born?" The lawyer shifted uncomfortably. "Mr. Hale believes you are not in a condition to care for." "For my own baby?" Harper raised a brow. "Is that why Ashton filed the petition before your mistress gave birth?" "Timing is convenient, isn't it?" Ashton's jaw flexed. "Watch yourself, Harper." "No," she said, stepping closer. "You watch yourself. I'm done being your quiet little wife who disappears when you need better optics. Elias looked at her with something like pride. Ashton? Harper continued, you don't get to erase me, and you definitely don't get to take my child. She opened the portfolio Elias had given her and pulled out a neatly printed letter. What's that? Ashton demanded. Notice, she replied. You'll be receiving the full documents tomorrow, but since you're here. She handed it to him. Ashton snatched it and froze as he read. This is a counter-petition? His face contorted. You're challenging custody? You're filing for protective orders? You're Harper. You don't have the resources for this. Harper smiled faintly. Who said I'm fighting alone? Elias stepped beside her, presence grounding and powerful. You're attacking the wrong woman, Ashton, Elias said. And now, you're up against someone who actually has the means to push back. Ashton's fury shook the air. You think you can ruin me? He snapped. Harper answered, voice steady as steel. No, Ashton, you ruined yourself. He lunged forward, rage overtaking reason, but Elias blocked him effortlessly. And that's when Harper's phone buzzed. She looked down. A message from an unknown number. Attached, a photograph. Her breath stopped. It was a picture taken inside Elias's building, showing someone slipping into the stairwell behind them. Someone Harper recognized. Harper's fingers tightened around her phone as she stared at the photograph. Grainy, taken from a security camera in the hallway outside the loft. The figure slipping into the stairwell wore a hooded coat, head down, but Harper recognized the posture instantly. Riley Moore, her former best friend, the woman who sold her humiliation for clicks, the woman who claimed to be just reporting the truth. Harper lowered the phone slowly. Riley is here, she said. Elias's expression sharpened. Inside the building? Harper nodded. She was in the stairwell behind us. Ashton scoffed. She's a reporter, probably following a lead. No, Harper said coolly. She's following orders. Janelle shifted anxiously. I didn't tell her to come here. But Harper wasn't even looking at her anymore. She stepped closer to Ashton, so close she could see the tremor in his jaw. You wanted to intimidate me, she said. You wanted to scare me back into silence. But you didn't come here alone. You brought Riley. You needed her to spin whatever story you planned to force on me today. Ashton opened his mouth, but nothing came out. For the first time, Harper felt power rush through her. Not manufactured, not stolen, not borrowed. It was hers, born from truth, pain, and survival. Elias took her phone, his eyes darkening as he reviewed the photo. I'll notify security. She won't leave this building with any footage. Ashton lunged to snatch the phone, but Elias moved with vicious precision. One step, one solid block, and Ashton staggered back. Don't ever raise your hands in front of her again, Elias growled. The authority in his voice sucked the air from the room. Even Ashton hesitated. Then he sneered. You think one loft and one job proposal means she's safe with you? Harper is still legally my wife. She still carries my child, and I will take what belongs to me. Harper stepped forward, her voice sharper than glass. I don't belong to you. My baby doesn't belong to you. And soon a judge will make that official. You're delusional, Ashton spat. No, Harper replied. Just done being controlled. As if summoned by the tension, the elevator dinged again. The doors slid open. Security stepped out, 2 men in dark uniforms, and between them, wrists clenched tightly, hair disheveled, eyes frantic. Riley? What are you doing? Riley shrieked. I'm press. I'm allowed to be here. Elias didn't even look at her. You broke into a private residential floor. That's trespassing. And from what I've been told, you were attempting to plant evidence. Harper tilted her head at Riley. Who sent you? Riley's eyes darted immediately to Janelle. Janelle froze. I didn't. But the lie tripped over itself. Janelle cracked. Fine, she burst out. I told her to take pictures of Harper with you, Elias. I needed leverage. Ashton was losing control. The board was turning. Ashton rounded on her, furious. You what? Riley screamed. You promised me exclusive access. You said if I made Harper look unstable, I'd get a job at Hale Dominion's media division. Harper inhaled sharply. You two tried to frame me again, she whispered. After everything. Ashton slammed a hand against the wall. Be quiet, Riley. No, Riley shouted back. You used me. Both of you. And now you're throwing me under the bus? Elias lifted a hand, silencing the chaos. Security will escort Ms. Moore out. Charges will be filed. Riley thrashed as the guards dragged her toward the elevator. Harper, you think you've won? Ashton will crush you. The doors closed, cutting her off. Janelle trembled. Ashton looked unhinged. Harper stayed still, silent, strong. It was the first time Ashton seemed to truly see her. Harper placed a gentle hand on her stomach. I'm not afraid of you anymore. You should be, Ashton hissed. I'm not finished. Elias stepped beside Harper, but I am. He pulled out his phone and pressed play. A video filled the room. Not Harper, not Janelle, Ashton. In his office, admitting to fraud, admitting to using corporate funds to support Janelle, admitting the baby might not even be his. The color drained from Ashton's face. Harper didn't blink, and before Ashton could utter a single excuse, someone else stepped into the hall, someone whose voice turned his blood to ice. Ashton Hale, the man said. We need to talk about your financial crimes. The hallway fell into a stunned silence as the man stepped forward. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dark overcoat still dusted with melting snow. His badge flashed under the loft's warm lights. U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Ashton Hale's complexion turned the color of wet ash. What are you doing here? Ashton stammered. This is a private build. The agent cut him off with a raised hand. Mr. Hale, my name is Agent Cole Donovan with the SEC. We've received multiple complaints and newly surfaced video evidence regarding embezzlement within Hale Dominion. We also have records of corporate funds being funneled into private accounts. Specifically, accounts belonging to Miss Janelle Grant. Harper watched Ashton's face collapse. First into shock, then fury, then something that looked disturbingly close to fear. That's ridiculous, Ashton snapped. I am CFO. I manage dozens of accounts. Not private ones in your girlfriend's name, Elias said quietly. Janelle gasped as though she'd been slapped. Wait, my name, Ashton? What did you put in my name? But Ashton wasn't listening to her. His eyes were locked on the agent. You can't just burst in here without a warrant. Agent Donovan reached into his coat and produced a neatly folded document. I have one, Elias exhaled softly. And that's checkmate. Harper felt her heart pound. Not from fear this time, but from an indescribable sense of justice finally cracking through the surface. Ashton's lawyer grabbed his arm. We need to leave. Now. No one is leaving just yet, Agent Donovan said firmly. We have questions for both Mr. Hale and Miss Grant. Janelle backed away like a cornered animal. I didn't know. I swear. I thought the money was for PR. He told me it was a corporate fund. Is that why you bought the Cartier bracelet? Elias asked flatly. Or the penthouse furniture? Or the first-class tickets to Miami? Janelle's mouth fell open. Elias continued. You two left a digital trail so obvious, a college intern could have traced it. Ashton lashed out. You set me up. You've been after my company for years. You want Hale Dominion to collapse so you can buy the pieces. Elias didn't blink. I don't need your company. Your incompetence is destroying it perfectly fine on its own. A ripple of laughter escaped Harper before she could stop it. Soft, disbelieving, almost cathartic. Ashton's head whipped toward her like he'd forgotten she was still there. You, he hissed, did this to me. Harper stepped forward, her voice calm, steady, deadly. No, Ashton, you did this to yourself. The lies, the affair, the fake video, trying to take my child, the fraud. All your choices. Agent Donovan added, speaking of the child, we'll also need to confirm parentage. Your mistress filed medical bills under Hale Dominion's insurance, but hospital records list the father as unknown. Care to explain that discrepancy? The hallway erupted into whispers. Ashton's jaw dropped. Janelle threw up her hands, panicked. I didn't know which name to put. It was complicated. Complicated, Ashton roared. That baby could belong to someone else, Elias finished. The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush concrete. Harper rested a hand on her belly, the baby shifting gently beneath her palm. For the first time since the gala, she felt safe, protected, seen. Agent Donovan's voice broke through the tension. Mr. Hale, I need you to come with me. Ashton turned, wild-eyed. Harper, tell them this is all a misunderstanding. Tell them I'm still the father. Tell them. Harper's face softened, but not with sympathy. With goodbye. You lost the right to ask anything from me the moment you tried to take my child, she said quietly. I owe you nothing. Ashton lunged toward her, desperate, broken, but security blocked him instantly. Janelle cried out as another agent approached her. Do I need a lawyer? Yes, Elias answered for her. A very good one. The elevator opened, ready to drag Ashton into the consequences he had thought he'd never face. He shot one last look at Harper, angry, betrayed, and terrified. "This isn't over," he snarled. Harper didn't flinch. "Yes, Ashton, it is." The doors slid shut. Elias exhaled slowly, stepping beside her. "You okay?" Harper finally let her shoulders drop. "I think I will be." But before either could breathe, Elias's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, and his expression darkened instantly. "Harper," he said, "you need to sit down." She swallowed. "What is it?" Elias turned the phone toward her. A headline had gone viral, featuring a photo of her, and the caption read, "Harper Lee Montgomery, the woman who brought down Hail Dominion." Harper stared at Elias's phone, her pulse thundering in her ears. The headline glowed like a flare in the dark. "Harper Montgomery, the woman who brought down Hail Dominion." Beneath it was a photo of her, taken at the hospital, her hair undone, her face pale, eyes swollen from tears. Vulnerable, exposed. Not the woman she was becoming, but the one she had been forced to be. Her stomach tightened. "Why would they use that picture?" she whispered. "Because vulnerability sells," Elias said quietly, "and because they don't know the whole story yet." Harper felt the baby shift under her hand, sensing her tension. She inhaled slowly, grounding herself. "Is this going to hurt my custody case?" she asked. Elias shook his head. "No. If anything, Ashton's downfall helps you, but it does put a spotlight on you. People will watch everything you do now." Her throat tightened. "I don't want the world to see me like this." Elias stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Then let them see who you really are. Let them see strength." Before Harper could respond, the elevator dinged again. This time, instead of agents or security, it was Maya Donovan, Elias's head of communications. Sharp suit, sharper mind. She carried a laptop under her arm, her expression tense. "Elias," she said, "the story's spreading like wildfire. Financial blogs, business networks, mother forums, gossip sites, everyone's picking it up, and they're attacking Harper's mental health video. Some think it's real." Harper's breath caught. "No. They're calling you unstable," Maya continued, scrolling through feeds. "Others think you're a mastermind who staged your own victimhood. There's sympathy, but also doubt. People don't know what to believe." Harper swallowed the panic rising in her throat. "What do we do?" "We get ahead of the story," Maya said. "Not with pity, with truth." Elias nodded. "A controlled interview. One outlet, one message. Tell your story before Ashton's camp tries to rewrite it." Harper's hands trembled slightly, but she steadied them. "I'm not a celebrity. I'm just me." "Exactly," Maya said. "People connect with real. And you've survived something most people can't imagine." Harper hesitated, but then she remembered the fake video. Janelle's betrayal, Riley's stalking, Ashton's cold eyes at the plaza. She straightened her spine. "Okay," she said, "let's do it. But only if I speak on my terms." Elias smiled faintly. "That's the only way we'll do it." Maya sat at the kitchen island, opening her laptop. "I'll start drafting the narrative." As she typed, Harper paced to the wide windows. Manhattan stretched below her like a glittering map of memories. Pain, hope, rebirth. She had come here to build a life. Ashton tried to destroy it, but she wasn't done. Elias approached quietly. "You're handling this with more strength than most CEOs I've seen." Harper looked at him. "I don't feel strong. I feel tired." "You can be both," he said softly. "Strength doesn't mean you don't break. It means you rebuild." His words warmed something deep in her chest. Suddenly Maya's phone buzzed sharply. She picked it up, eyes widening. "Oh no." Harper tensed. "What happened now?" Maya swallowed. "A new leak. Someone sent the press a photo of you and Elias at the hospital. They're claiming the two of you were romantically involved before your marriage collapsed." Harper's blood ran cold. "That's a lie. We weren't." "I know," Maya said. "But the timing is bad. And the person who leaked it?" She slowly turned her screen toward Harper. The sender's name was clear as daylight. Janelle Grant. Harper's heartbeat twisted into something sharp and fierce. "She still thinks she can control the narrative," Harper said, her voice low. "Even with Ashton being dragged out by the SEC." Elias's expression hardened. Not for long. But before he could say another word, the loft's intercom crackled. A voice came through, frantic, breathless. "This is the front desk. Miss Montgomery, you have a visitor demanding to see you. She's refusing to leave." Harper's pulse jumped. The doorman continued. "It's Janelle, and she's holding the baby." Harper froze. For a moment, she wasn't in the safety of Elias's loft anymore. She was back in the plaza ballroom, the chandelier lights blurring, Janelle's triumphant smile searing her heart like acid. But now the stakes were different. Higher. Sharper. This time, Janelle wasn't holding a Cartier bracelet or Ashton's arm. She was holding a baby. Harper steadied her breath. "Why is she here?" Elias spoke to the intercom, voice firm. "Don't let her up. Call security and—" But Harper touched his arm. "No, let her come up." Both Elias and Maya whipped their heads toward her. "Harper, that's not safe," Elias said. "She'll keep leaking stories until she gets what she wants," Harper replied, jaw tightening. "Running won't stop her. Hiding won't stop her. I want this to end." "Ending it doesn't mean walking into a trap," Elias warned. Harper looked him straight in the eyes, calm, clear, resolute. "I'm done being afraid of her." Elias searched her expression, then inhaled slowly. "Fine, but I'm not leaving your side," Maya added, "and I'm recording everything." The elevator's soft ding echoed down the hallway like a warning bell. The doors slid open. Janelle Grant stood there, face red, mascara streaked, hair unbrushed. Her expensive coat hung crookedly over one shoulder, and in her arms, swaddled in a pale blue blanket, was the baby she used to weaponize. But something was wrong. The baby was crying, violently, desperately. Janelle didn't look triumphant anymore. She looked terrified. "Harper," she gasped, stepping into the loft. You have to help me." Harper stiffened. "Help you?" Janelle nodded frantically. Please, I didn't know who else to go to." Maya whispered under her breath. "This is weird." Elias moved slightly forward, protective. "What's going on?" Janelle clutched the baby tighter. "They're looking for me." "Who?" Harper asked, voice steady. Janelle's lips trembled. "Ashton's people, the ones he hired to clean up his mess. The ones who know about the money, about the fake video, about everything." Harper's breath caught. "Ashton's people? They think I'll talk. They think I'll turn on him," Janelle continued, voice shaking. "I tried calling Ashton, but he's gone. Vanished. His apartment is barricaded, his phone is off, and now, I think they're following me." Harper exchanged a tense look with Elias. Janelle stepped closer, desperate. "Harper, you're the only person left who doesn't want something from me. Ashton hates me. Riley betrayed me. His board despises me. The press is destroying me. You might be the last person who won't let something bad happen to my child." Harper's chest tightened. This wasn't Janelle the manipulator. This was Janelle the frightened mother. But fear didn't erase the cruelty she had inflicted. It didn't erase the humiliation, or the danger she had caused Harper and her unborn child. Harper steadied herself. "Janelle, why did you really come here?" Janelle's voice cracked. "Because I need to tell you something before they find me." Elias stepped forward. "Then say it." Janelle looked at Harper, eyes wide, wet, pleading. "The video of you, the fake breakdown video, I wasn't the one who filmed it." Harper felt a chill crawl up her spine. "Then who?" Janelle swallowed hard. "It was Riley. She was the one in your bedroom. She staged everything, and Ashton paid her to do it." Harper's heart dropped. She had suspected betrayal, but not like this. Not from the woman she once trusted with every secret. Elias's expression darkened. "You'd better not be lying." "I'm not," Janelle whispered. "And there's more. Something else you need to know. Something about what Ashton planned next." Harper's breath trembled. What was he planning? But before Janelle could answer, her baby shrieked, louder, sharper, panicked. Janelle looked down at him and screamed. The baby's blanket slipped. A small bruise marked his arm. Elias's face drained of color. "That bruise, how did he get that?" Janelle sobbed. "I don't know. I swear I don't know. But they were in my building. They were watching. They said the baby wasn't safe with me. They said—" The loft lights flickered. Maya jumped. "The power." Elias spun toward the window. A black SUV had pulled up outside. Multiple figures stepped out. Janelle backed away, gripping the baby. "They found me," she whispered. "Harper, they found us." For a long moment, no one in the loft moved. The baby's frantic cry echoed against the exposed brick, bouncing between the high ceilings and the floor-to-ceiling windows. Outside, the black SUV idled silently, headlights slicing through the falling snow. Figures, tall, broad-shouldered, faces hidden beneath hoods, stood still as statues. It felt like time itself was holding its breath. Elias reacted first. He turned to Maya. "Lock the doors, now." Maya sprinted to the panel near the kitchen wall and hit the security override. The metallic thud of reinforced locks sliding into place echoed through the loft. Elias grabbed his phone and dialed a private security line so quickly it looked instinctual, like a reflex owned from years of dealing with corporate threats. Harper's pulse raced as she stepped toward Janelle, who was shaking violently. "Janelle, look at me. How long have they been following you?" Janelle clutched the baby closer, her voice trembling. 3 days. It started after Ashton disappeared. One of them approached me in the parking garage. He said I held assets Ashton didn't want going public. Assets? Maya muttered. He meant evidence. But Harper's attention snapped back to the bruise on the baby's tiny arm. Janelle, did someone touch him? Did someone try to take him? Tears spilled down Janelle's cheeks. I fell asleep last night, just for a minute. When I woke up he was screaming, and that mark wasn't there before. Harper's heart twisted. She wasn't holding her own child, but she felt the instinctive rage of a mother all the same. "You should have gone to the police. They don't listen to women like me," Janelle cried. "And Ashton made sure I'd look crazy if I ever turned on him. But Harper..." She stepped closer. "Harper, Ashton had a plan, one that involved you." Elias moved between them. "Tell us exactly what you know." Janelle wiped her face with trembling fingers. "Before he disappeared, Ashton said he needed to clean up the narrative, that you were becoming a liability, Harper. That if the public didn't believe you were unstable, he'd give them proof." A chill shot down Harper's spine. "What does that mean?" Janelle looked sick. "He had someone ready to stage an incident, something that would confirm the fake video, something to take custody from you permanently." Harper's breath faltered. "He was going to hurt me?" Janelle nodded desperately. "He said if you got hospitalized long enough, the courts would rule in his favor." Elias's hands curled into fists, knuckles white. "I swear to God." Maya cut in, voice clipped. "We need law enforcement here. Immediately." "I already called my team," Elias said. "But they're 10 minutes out." Harper turned slowly toward the windows. The figures outside hadn't moved, but their presence felt heavier now, as if they were waiting for a signal, as if they knew they had limited time before Elias's security arrived. Janelle's voice cracked. "Harper, I didn't know it would go this far. I didn't know they'd come after me, or the baby." Harper forced herself to stay steady, breathing through the panic rising in her throat. "What else did Ashton tell you? What else is coming?" Janelle hesitated. "You need to say it," Harper whispered. Janelle looked up, eyes red and terrified. Ashton wasn't planning to run. He was planning to disappear temporarily until his team removed the loose ends. "Harper..." He said there were 2 loose ends. Harper's skin went cold. "Who?" "You." Janelle's voice broke. "And me," Maya gasped. "So he's tying up loose ends by sending people after both of you?" Janelle sobbed harder. "They won't stop until they find what Ashton left behind." Elias stepped forward. "Left behind? Where?" Janelle swallowed. In the penthouse." Harper stiffened. "What did he hide there?" Janelle's hands shook so violently she nearly dropped the baby. "A hard drive," she whispered, "with everything. All the crimes, the money, the affair, the manipulation, the video. And something else, something even more dangerous." Harper's heart slammed against her ribs. "What's on it?" Janelle met her eyes, voice trembling like glass. "Proof that the baby you're carrying was never supposed to survive." The room went silent. So silent that Harper wasn't sure she was still breathing. Janelle's words echoed in her skull like a bell struck too hard. "Proof that the baby you're carrying was never supposed to survive." For a moment the world tilted, the floor slipping somewhere beneath her sense of reality. Elias stepped forward instinctively, one hand hovering near Harper's arm but not touching, waiting to catch her if she fell, but giving her the dignity to stand on her own. Harper forced her breath to steady. "Explain," she whispered. "Now." Janelle clutched the crying baby tighter, her knuckles white. Her mascara streaked further down her cheeks as she spoke. "Before the gala, before everything collapsed, Ashton met with someone, a consultant. He said they were experts in crisis control. I overheard him during a phone call. He said he needed an insurance plan in case you didn't stay quiet." Harper's stomach twisted. "What kind of insurance plan?" Elias asked, though the horror in his voice said he already knew. Janelle hesitated, trembling. "He said, if Harper had a medical emergency, one bad enough to discredit her, he could claim full custody. And if..." Her voice cracked. "If something went wrong with the pregnancy, no one would blame him." Harper felt a coldness sweep down her arms. He wanted something to happen to me? Or the baby? Janelle nodded miserably. He hired people who could make it look like stress-induced complications, a staged fall, a missing railing near the stairs, even switching medication. Harper pressed a hand to her mouth, trying not to retch. Maya whispered, "Oh my God." Elias stepped fully in front of Harper now, his frame hard as steel. "You're telling me Ashton planned to harm her unborn child just to protect his reputation?" "Yes." Janelle covered her face, crying harder. "He said if the baby didn't make it, he'd start fresh with me. With a son he could actually control. I didn't want to believe him. I thought he was angry, talking big. I told myself he'd never go that far." Harper's voice cracked. "And you still stayed?" "I was scared," Janelle cried, "and stupid, and greedy. I thought he loved me. I thought the baby would give me a future. I didn't know he was capable of this." Snowflakes tapped softly against the window. Outside, the men by the SUV still stood motionless, dark figures waiting for a cue. Harper wrapped both arms around her belly, instinctively shielding her child. "Why are they here now?" "Because," Janelle whispered, "they think the hard drive is in my possession, and they know Ashton's world is collapsing. They want to destroy anything that could incriminate them before the SEC raids the penthouse." Maya typed rapidly on her phone. "I'm checking. Yes, reports say Ashton missed his hearing. He's vanished from custody. They think someone helped him escape." "Who?" Elias asked. Janelle swallowed. "His brother, Dylan. He always cleaned up Ashton's messes." Harper closed her eyes. Dylan, the silent, brooding shadow at family events. The one who watched everything without speaking. The one who never liked her. Elias paced toward the window, analyzing the figures below. "We don't have much time before they make a move. We have to protect Harper and the baby first." Harper lifted her chin. "And the hard drive?" Janelle pulled in a shaking breath. "It's hidden in the penthouse, inside Ashton's private study, behind the photograph of his father." Elias cursed under his breath. "That building's crawling with risk now," Maya said. "Getting it means walking directly into a trap." Harper felt her fear transform, slowly like ice melting into a quiet, powerful current. "But we need that drive to end this." Elias looked at her. "Harper, you don't need to risk your life for evidence. My security can handle it." She shook her head. "Ashton destroyed my reputation, tried to take my child, and almost ruined my future. This is my fight." Janelle stepped forward, still crying. "You can't go alone. They'll hurt you." "I'm not alone," Harper said, meeting Elias's gaze. Before anyone could respond, the building lights flickered again, harder this time. The power cut for 2 full seconds. Then the emergency lights kicked in. A loud metallic thud echoed from the stairwell. Maya's face drained of color. "They're inside the building." Elias moved instantly. "Harper, get behind me." But Harper didn't move yet. She stared at the stairwell door, heartbeat pounding, because she heard footsteps. Heavy, deliberate, getting closer, and then a familiar voice echoed from the other side, one Harper never wanted to hear again. "Harper, open the door. We need to talk." It was Ashton. The room went silent, so silent that Harper wasn't sure she was still breathing. Janelle's words echoed in her skull like a bell struck too hard. "Proof that the baby you're carrying was never supposed to survive." For a moment, the world tilted, the floor slipping somewhere beneath her sense of reality. Elias stepped forward instinctively, one hand hovering near Harper's arm but not touching, waiting to catch her if she fell, but giving her the dignity to stand on her own. Harper forced her breath to steady. "Explain," she whispered. "Now." Janelle clutched the crying baby tighter, her knuckles white. Her mascara streaked further down her cheeks as she spoke. "Before the gala, before everything collapsed, Ashton met with someone, a consultant. He said they were experts in crisis control. I overheard him during a phone call. He said he needed an insurance plan in case you didn't stay quiet." Harper's stomach twisted. "What kind of insurance plan?" Elias asked, though the horror in his voice said he already knew. Janelle hesitated, trembling. He said, if Harper had a medical emergency, one bad enough to discredit her, he could claim full custody. And if, her voice cracked, if something went wrong with the pregnancy, no one would blame him. Harper felt a coldness sweep down her arms. He wanted something to happen to me, or the baby. Janelle nodded miserably. He hired people who could make it look like stress-induced complications, a staged fall, a missing railing near the stairs, even switching medication. Harper pressed a hand to her mouth, trying not to retch. Maya whispered, "Oh my God." Elias stepped fully in front of Harper now, his frame hard as steel. "You're telling me Ashton planned to harm her unborn child just to protect his reputation?" "Yes." Janelle covered her face, crying harder. "He said if the baby didn't make it, he'd start fresh with me, with a son he could actually control." I didn't want to believe him. I thought he was angry, talking big. I told myself he'd never go that far. Harper's voice cracked. "And you still stayed." "I was scared," Janelle cried. "And stupid and greedy. I thought he loved me. I thought the baby would give me a future. I didn't know he was capable of this." Snowflakes tapped softly against the window. Outside, the men by the SUV still stood motionless, dark figures waiting for a cue. Harper wrapped both arms around her belly, instinctively shielding her child. "Why are they here now?" "Because," Janelle whispered, "they think the hard drive is in my possession, and they know Ashton's world is collapsing. They want to destroy anything that could incriminate them before the SEC raids the penthouse." Maya typed rapidly on her phone. "I'm checking. Yes. Reports say Ashton missed his hearing. He's vanished from custody. They think someone helped him escape." "Who?" Elias asked. Janelle swallowed. "His brother. Dylan. He always cleaned up Ashton's messes." Harper closed her eyes. "Dylan? The silent, brooding shadow at family events. The one who watched everything without speaking. The one who never liked her." Elias paced toward the window, analyzing the figures below. "We don't have much time before they make a move. We have to protect Harper and the baby first." Harper lifted her chin. "And the hard drive." Janelle pulled in a shaking breath. "It's hidden in the penthouse, inside Ashton's private study, behind the photograph of his father." Elias cursed under his breath. "That building's crawling with risk now," Maya said. "Getting it means walking directly into a trap." Harper felt her fear transform. Slowly, like ice melting into a quiet, powerful current. "But we need that drive to end this." Elias looked at her. "Harper, you don't need to risk your life for evidence. My security can handle it." She shook her head. "Ashton destroyed my reputation, tried to take my child, and almost ruined my future. This is my fight." Janelle stepped forward, still crying. "You can't go alone. They'll hurt you." "I'm not alone," Harper said, meeting Elias's gaze. Before anyone could respond, the building lights flickered again, harder this time. The power cut for 2 full seconds. Then the emergency lights kicked in. A loud metallic thud echoed from the stairwell. Maya's face drained of color. "They're inside the building." Elias moved instantly. "Harper, get behind me." But Harper didn't move yet. She stared at the stairwell door, heartbeat pounding, because she heard footsteps. Heavy, deliberate, getting closer. And then a familiar voice echoed from the other side, one Harper never wanted to hear again. "Harper, open the door. We need to talk." It was Ashton. The stairwell door shook under a heavy fist. "Harper," Ashton's voice growled, muffled but unmistakably sharp. "Open this door, right now." Harper's pulse pounded in her ears. She found herself instinctively pressing a hand to her stomach, drawing a slow breath. Protective, steady, ready. Janelle's baby whimpered in her arms again, sensing the tension. Maya stood frozen by the kitchen island, phone clutched tightly as she whispered to Elias's private security line. Elias moved toward the door, every muscle in his frame shifting with controlled precision, like a man ready for a war he had already prepared to win. Another slam. "Harper," Ashton shouted more forcefully, "you have 5 seconds before I break this door down." Elias stepped closer to her and lowered his voice. "He's not stable. You're not going near that door." But Harper didn't step back. She stood exactly where she was. Yes, afraid, yes, shaking, but anchored by something stronger than fear. Resolve. "I need to face him," she whispered. Elias shook his head. "Not like this." Another slam came, louder this time. "Harper, listen to me," Ashton barked. "We can fix this. I can make everything go away. Just open the damn door." Janelle flinched. "He's desperate. He never talks like that unless he's cornered." Harper swallowed hard, her voice barely audible. "He knows the SEC is coming for him." "He knows more than that," Janelle whispered. "He knows his father's trust fund has been frozen. He has nowhere to go." The stairwell door rattled violently again. Harper felt her baby kick, frightened, unsettled. She touched her stomach, grounding herself with a slow inhale. "I won't let him near us," she murmured. But Ashton wasn't just slamming anymore. Now his tone had changed, dark, pleading, almost manic. "Harper, please," he said. "You're my wife, my future. You're carrying my child. Don't do this." Harper froze, because something about the way he said "my child" felt wrong. "There's someone with him," Elias whispered suddenly, analyzing the shadows under the door. "One pair of footsteps? No, two." "Two?" Maya echoed, eyes widening. Who would still help him now? A new voice answered from behind the door, the voice Harper dreaded almost as much as Ashton's. "Harper," it said smoothly. "It's Dylan. Let us in." Harper's breath caught. Dylan Hale, Ashton's brother. The shadow that lingered at all family gatherings, silent, watchful, loyal only to blood. He was the one who made problems disappear. The one who always stood behind Ashton like a second spine. Elias swore under his breath. This just became twice as dangerous. Ashton slammed the door again. "Harper, last chance." "No," Harper said softly but firmly. "I'm not letting you in." Silence. A long, chilling silence. Then Dylan's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Harper, Ashton doesn't want to hurt you, but we need to talk. And if you don't open this door, someone else will." Maya gasped. "They're trying to force her. They know she's our weakest point." "I'm not weak," Harper hissed. She took 2 steps toward the door. Elias moved to hold her back, but she gently rested her hand on his arm. "I'm done hiding," she said. "I'm done being cornered." Elias stared at her, astonished, proud, terrified all at once. "Then let me stand beside you." Harper nodded. Together they approached the door. Janelle backed away with the baby, tears streaming down her face. "Harper, please, please be careful." On the other side, Ashton's breathing grew louder, close, unhinged, desperate. "Harper," he whispered, voice nearly shaking, "if you ever cared about me, open this door." Harper placed her palm against the cold metal. "I did care," she said. "Once." Silence again. She continued, voice stronger. "But you don't own me. You never did." A sudden crash rattled the hinges. Dylan roared, "Move, Ashton, now!" Elias pulled Harper back just as the entire stairwell door bent inward from a violent hit. "They're trying to break in," Maya cried. Elias grabbed Harper's shoulders. "Harper, go to the safe room, now." But Harper's eyes locked onto something she saw through the narrow slit at the hinge as the metal bent again. A third figure in the stairwell, one she recognized instantly. Not security, not police, not someone sent by Ashton, a woman, Riley. Her eyes locked on Harper through the gap. "Open up," Riley hissed. "You owe me." For a moment, the world narrowed to the thin sliver of darkness between the bending door and the stairwell. Harper stared into it, into those familiar eyes she once trusted, once confided in, once believed would never betray her. Riley Moore, former best friend. Traitor, now standing shoulder to shoulder with Ashton and Dylan Hale. She looked wild, hair tangled, mascara smeared, breath sharp and uneven. Rage burned in her expression, but beneath it was something more dangerous. Entitlement. "You owe me," Riley repeated, voice cutting through the air like broken glass. Harper stepped back instinctively. Elias shifted with her, putting himself directly between her and the weakening door. Janelle whimpered from across the room, clutching the baby tightly as Maya ushered her toward the corner behind the kitchen island. Elias's voice dropped low, lethal. "Harper, don't respond to her," but Harper did, because she needed to. "No," Harper said, her voice trembling but clear. "I owe you nothing, Riley, not after what you did." Riley snarled. "What I did? I made you famous." She slammed her hand against the door. "Without me, you'd still be nobody. The world only cares about you because I fed them the story." "That story almost cost me my child," Harper shot back. Riley's eyes flashed. "Your child? The one Ashton didn't even want? The one that ruined everything?" "Riley, shut up," Ashton snapped. "You're making it worse." Riley whipped toward him. "I'm making it worse? You're the one who couldn't keep control. You promised me a job. You promised me a future. You said if I helped you destroy Harper, I'd finally be part of something big." Harper felt the room tilt. Riley wasn't just a bystander. She was part of the conspiracy. Elias's hand curled into a fist. Harper stepped back. They're unstable, all of them. But Harper didn't move. She couldn't. Because now the pieces were falling into place. Every rumor, every leak, every shadow in the hallway. Riley had been there all along. "Why?" Harper whispered. "Why would you do this to me?" Riley laughed bitterly, pressing her forehead to the bending door. "Because you had everything, Harper, and you still acted like you didn't deserve it." She pounded again, hard enough to jolt the hinges. You had Ashton. You had the marriage. You had the baby. And you never looked back at the people you left behind. I never left you, Harper cried. You walked away the moment Ashton gave you attention. Riley's eyes flickered with shame, but only for a second. He told me I was better than you. He told me I deserved to be on the inside. He lied, Elias said sharply, like he lies to everyone. Dylan's harsh voice boomed behind the door. Enough talking, move. Before anyone could react, the door bent inward nearly an inch. Janelle screamed. Maya dialed frantically. The security team is still 4 minutes out. Elias's jaw tightened. He positioned himself directly in front of Harper, ready to shield her with his entire body. Harper, he murmured, go to the safe room, please. But Harper shook her head slowly. I won't run from him again. The stairwell door creaked ominously, metal shrieking against metal. Ashton shouted, if you don't open this door, I swear. You'll what? Harper cut in, voice suddenly steady, powerful. Hurt me? Hurt the baby, just like you planned? Silence. Then Ashton growled, you don't know anything. I know enough, Harper said, and soon, everyone will. Riley snapped. No one's going to care about you once I get what I came for. And what's that? Harper demanded. Riley's smile twisted into something jagged. You. The door finally broke free from one hinge, swinging violently inward, exposing the shadowy figures ready to burst through. Elias braced himself, stepping forward. But before Ashton, Dylan, or Riley could take a single step inside the loft, another voice thundered from behind them in the stairwell. A commanding, furious voice. Federal agents, step away from the door. Ashton spun around in panic. Harper's breath caught. Because standing behind him was Agent Cole Donovan, flanked by an entire raid team. And they weren't alone. The stairwell exploded into chaos. Agent Cole Donovan surged up the last step with 2 armed federal officers at his back. Their voices boomed like thunder in the narrow concrete shaft. Hands where we can see them. Ashton Hale, step away from the door. Riley Moore, drop your phone. Dylan Hale, against the wall. The shock was instantaneous. Ashton stumbled backward, pale and furious. Riley shrieked. Dylan reached instinctively for something inside his coat, but 3 agents raised their weapons instantly. Do not move, one barked. Inside the loft, Harper's knees threatened to give out. For the first time in hours, maybe weeks, her body felt like it didn't need to be armor anymore. Elias grabbed her waist gently to steady her, his voice low. It's over, Harper. They're here. But Harper didn't feel relief. Not yet. Not until the truth was all the way out. Agent Donovan stepped into the doorway, blocking the broken hinge with his shoulder. His expression was a grim mix of fury and exhaustion. Ashton Hale, he said, you violated federal bail conditions, fled custody, interfered with an active investigation, and attempted to intimidate a protected witness. Ashton's voice cracked. I didn't do anything. She set me up. Harper stepped forward before Elias could stop her. No, Ashton. You set yourself up. Every lie, every plan, every crime. You wrote this ending. Ashton's face twisted. You think you're better than me? You think you can destroy me and walk away? You destroyed yourself, Harper said softly. I just stopped letting you take me down with you. Riley lunged forward, pointing at Harper. She manipulated everyone. She's been playing the victim. Agent Donovan shut her down immediately. Ms. Moore, the footage from your apartment has been recovered. We have the doctored videos, the deleted files, the timestamps showing you were inside Mrs. That Montgomery's penthouse. Riley's mouth dropped open. No, I didn't. There's no way you found that. I erased. You erased nothing, Donovan said. You uploaded everything to cloud storage, auto-sync. Riley's face drained of blood. And, Donovan added, we also recovered financial transactions between you and Hale Dominion's PR slush fund. Payments labeled content acquisition. Dylan cursed under his breath. Idiot. One of the federal agents stepped behind him. Watch your language while we process your charges. Janelle, still clutching her baby, whispered from behind Harper. So, it's really over? Harper glanced back. Not yet, but it's starting. Elias stepped beside her, tall and steady. Agent Donovan, we have information you need about the hard drive Ashton hid. Donovan nodded. We found it. Harper whipped around. You did? An anonymous tip told us exactly where to look, Donovan said. Behind a framed photo of Robert Hale inside an insulated bolt safe. Contained financial fraud records, digital blackmail files, private recordings, and a timeline of planned events, including a staged incident involving you, Mrs. Montgomery. Harper swallowed hard. So you know everything? Yes, Donovan said. Enough to ensure he'll never see the outside of a cell again. Ashton lunged forward in pure rage, but 3 agents slammed him onto the concrete. You ruined my life, he roared at Harper. You ruined everything. Harper stood tall. No, Ashton, I saved mine. Agent Donovan signaled the officers. Take him. They dragged Ashton down the stairs, his screams fading into the floor below. Riley was next, sobbing. Dylan walked silently, expression blank. The hallway returned to stillness. Inside the loft, the only sound was the baby sniffing softly in Janelle's arms. For a long moment, Harper didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't blink. Elias touched her shoulder gently. It's over, Harper exhaled, trembling. For the first time, it finally feels real. But before he could reply, Maya's phone buzzed again. She checked the screen, then froze. Harper felt her stomach drop. What now? Maya lifted her eyes slowly, voice trembling. It's the press. They're outside the building, dozens of them. Harper's pulse spiked. What are they saying? Maya turned the phone. Another headline had gone viral, bigger and louder than before. And this one wasn't accusing her. It was demanding to hear her speak. Harper Montgomery, the woman America wants answers from. The loft felt too small now, too bright, too loud, even in its silence. Harper stood by the tall window, staring down at the crowd growing outside. Reporters gathered like a restless tide, lights from their cameras flashing across the sidewalk like a storm of artificial lightning. Satellite vans lined the street. People held phones overhead, streaming live. Commentators shouted into microphones. Her name filled the air. Harper Montgomery. The woman who brought down Hale Dominion. The wife who exposed corruption. The mother fighting to protect her unborn child. Harper watched the chaos, one hand resting protectively on her stomach. I didn't ask for any of this, she whispered. Elias stepped beside her, calm but solid, his voice gentle. No one asks for a storm, but some people survive it, and some rise because of it. She turned toward him, eyes soft but tired. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a politician. I'm just me. That's exactly why people want to hear you, Elias said. Because you're real. Because you've lived something they recognize. Betrayal, humiliation, fear, and now, courage. Behind them, Maya typed furiously at the kitchen counter. We can manage this, she said. If we control the message, we guide the narrative. But if we stay silent, they'll fill the gaps themselves. Janelle stood nearby, rocking her baby, eyes puffy and swollen. They'll tear you apart, she warned softly. They did it to me. They'll do it to anyone. Harper glanced at her, not with hatred anymore, but with a kind of sad understanding. Janelle had made unforgivable choices, but she was also a product of Ashton's manipulation, a pawn in a chessboard she thought she controlled. Harper took a steadying breath. What would I even say? Maya looked up. The truth, exactly as it happened, what Ashton did, how he manipulated everyone, what he planned for you and your baby. Harper's chest tightened. The world will know every detail. Elias touched her hand gently, not claiming her, not pushing, just anchoring. You don't have to do this alone. Her gaze softened. I know. For the first time since the nightmare began, Harper felt something strange flicker inside her. Hope. A quiet, trembling hope that she might rebuild her name, her future, her life, on her own terms. But then something else struck her. What about the baby? Harper whispered. And Janelle's son? If the media twists this, they won't leave the kids alone. Janelle nodded, tears rising. They'll make them headlines. Maya answered gently. We can protect their identities, and yours, but only if we get ahead of the narrative now. Harper placed a hand to her heart. I don't want my child to grow up under Ashton's shadow, or under this scandal. You're not raising them in a shadow, Elias said. You're raising them in the light you're choosing. Harper inhaled slowly, deeply. She thought of the gala, her body collapsing while the world watched her humiliation. She thought of the hospital, her child's heartbeat thundering against fear. She thought of the loft, where she had begun to reclaim herself. And suddenly, she knew. She wasn't speaking for fame. She wasn't speaking for revenge. She was speaking for her child. And for every woman who had been silenced by a man like Ashton Hale. Harper lifted her chin. I'll do it, but on one condition. Maya blinked. Name it. I speak live, Harper said firmly. No editing, no twisting, no cutting my words. The world hears exactly what happened, exactly how it happened. Elias smiled slowly, proud, impressed. Live it is. Maya grabbed her phone. I'll set up a controlled press conference in the building lobby. Security will handle access. Janelle whispered, They're not going to be kind, Harper. I'm not asking them to be, Harper replied. I'm asking them to listen. Maya hurried toward the elevator to coordinate logistics. Janelle sat on the couch, comforting her baby. Elias reached for Harper's coat. But just as he helped her slip her arm through the sleeve, a loud buzz cut through the room. The building intercom crackled. We have a situation, the doorman said urgently. A man is trying to push his way into the lobby. He says he needs to speak to Miss Montgomery before the press does. Harper stiffened. Who is it? The doorman hesitated, then answered. He says his name is Dylan Hale, and he claims he knows something about Ashton you haven't heard yet. The lobby of Elias's building buzzed with tension as Harper stepped out of the elevator, surrounded by security. Reporters pressed against the glass doors outside, microphones poised, cameras aimed, voices rising in chaotic waves. But inside, the air was still, charged, waiting. Dylan Hale stood near the reception desk, hands cuffed in front of him. 2 federal officers kept him contained, but he didn't fight. He didn't shout like Ashton, didn't deny or threaten. He just looked tired, defeated, human. Harper approached him slowly. Why did you ask for me? She said. Dylan lifted his eyes, icy gray, so much like Ashton's, yet emptier. Because I'm done. I'm done cleaning up his messes, done pretending he can be saved. Harper swallowed. What do you want from me? Nothing, Dylan answered. I came to give you the truth, all of it. He nodded to an agent who handed Harper a sealed envelope, thick, heavy. What is this? She asked. Evidence Ashton didn't know I kept, Dylan said. He thought I destroyed it. I didn't. I saw what he planned for you, for the baby, and even I couldn't stomach it. Harper's hand shook as she opened the envelope. Inside were bank transfers, private messages, a contract for a hired consultant, and a chilling note from Ashton himself, written in his handwriting. If Harper becomes a liability, handle it quietly. She cannot jeopardize the heir. Harper's breath hitched. Elias stepped closer, his hand hovering protectively near her back. Dylan continued, voice low and broken. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just make sure the world knows the truth, not for Ashton's sake, for yours. Federal agents escorted him away moments later. Harper stood still, holding the envelope to her chest, trembling, not from fear, but from the weight of final clarity. Everything Ashton had hidden was now in her hands. Elias gently touched her shoulder. You ready? Harper nodded. She wasn't the woman who fainted at the gala. She wasn't the woman who begged for Ashton's attention. She wasn't the woman who broke under pressure. She was the woman who survived. And now she was the woman who would speak. The building lobby transformed into a controlled press environment. Cameras lined one side. Reporters stood behind ropes. Security formed a barrier around Harper as she stepped toward the microphone. Elias only a few steps behind. Flashbulbs burst. Voices flew. Questions erupted. Harper lifted a hand, and the room went silent. She inhaled slowly. My name is Harper Lee Montgomery, she began. And for the first time, I'm telling my story in my own voice. Her voice was steady, warm, and heartbreakingly human as she spoke about everything. The manipulation, the isolation, the affair, the fake video, the plot against her pregnancy, the financial crimes, the lies Ashton told. She didn't cry, she didn't tremble. She stood like a woman rebuilt from fire. And when she finished, she placed the envelope on the podium. This, she said, is the truth, the full truth, and I am done living in fear. The room erupted, but Harper stepped away before reporters could swarm her. Elias guided her through a private exit, protecting her from the chaos. Outside, snow drifted gently onto the quiet side street, glowing gold beneath Manhattan lights. Harper stopped, hand on her belly, feeling her baby kick as if applauding. You did it, Elias murmured. No, Harper said softly. We did it. All of us who survived him. She turned toward Elias, really looked at him. Through everything, he had been strength without force, support without pressure, safety without conditions. Elias, she whispered, I couldn't have done any of this without you. His expression softened. Harper, I didn't help you expecting anything. I know, she replied. That's why I trust you. He exhaled, slow, relieved, almost overwhelmed. You deserve a peaceful life, a happy one. She smiled gently. Maybe this is the beginning. A warm silence settled over them. Can I take you home? Elias asked. Harper slipped her hand into his. Confident, steady, hopeful. You already did, she said. They walked toward the waiting car as snowflakes fell softly around them, cleansing the air, carrying away the past. The world might still talk. The headlines might still spin. But Harper had won back her life, her voice, her future. And soon her child would enter a world where their mother stood tall, unbroken, a woman who survived, a woman who fought back, a woman who finally found peace. The story wasn't about Ashton anymore. It was about Harper and the life she was finally free to build. So, that's where our story closes, my wonderful friends. And if you're still here with me right now, it means something in Harper's journey touched your heart in a way that words alone can't explain. Maybe it reminded you of a time when you were hurt, misunderstood, or forced to rebuild from zero. Maybe it reminded you of someone you used to be, or someone you're becoming. But here's the truth Harper's story leaves us with. Life will break you, people will betray you, love will disappoint you. But you decide what rises from the ruins. Like the Stoic Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The obstacle is the way." Every wound Harper carried became the very force that set her free. And that's something every one of us can hold on to. So if you're watching this and you're fighting your own battles, remember, you're stronger than the storm around you. Healing isn't loud. It's quiet, steady, and deeply personal. If this story moved you even a little, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps these messages reach someone who might need them tonight. And maybe that someone is closer than you think.